Hi, it's Chris, and this is today's review of reading through the Bible in a year chronologically, September 14th. We started in Ezra, read through Ezra 6, started in Ezra 6:14, Ezra 6, and then went back to 4 verse 6. Again, that's because of the way it announces things. And then we get into Esther. We have the first 4 books of Esther. That's a cool story. I love the story of Esther. But in Ezra, it just talks about the temple being finished and the celebration of the Passover. And what was really cool there is it wasn't just those that were exiled, the Jews, but the conversion of the people around them that now would follow God. They celebrated the Passover to follow, as followers of God. They put off their evil ways and started following God, and that's an awesome thing right there. That's worth talking about. And then Ezra 4:6 talks about how Xerxes began his reign, and the enemies of Judah wrote a letter of accusation against the people of Judah in Jerusalem, and that ties right into Esther. So the whole man, Esther just paints a beautiful picture of the providence of God, how God works through things, even things that are awful, are terrible. You know, it started off with just even the story of Esther being Esther. Esther lost her dad, and her cousin raised her and adopted her. And her cousin Mordecai was one of the exiles with King Jehoiachin. I think that's how they said. Anyway, he was one of the exiles. He was mentioned in earlier writings as well that I saw as one of the people that came. But we see where Esther, that was one thing that put her in a position. The death of her dad and the adoption of Mordecai, and Mordecai taking her under his wing, and Mordecai being in position to overhear a plot against the king, and Mordecai using Esther to bring that to the king and save the king from an assassination attempt. And we see where it all lines up. It all works out for the goodness of the Jews, and it works against the enemy of the Jews. And it's got to be, again, we got Haman issuing the decree to kill all the Jews because Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him because he was a Jew, and because Jews don't bow down to anything but God, right? So Haman did not like that. He was a prideful, sinful man. He was the second in command of this huge province, and yet he let Mordecai eat at him. Come on. Only the enemy would do that. The enemy would push that on somebody. He was obviously under the influence of the enemy. Be confident in who you are. I mean, that's one thing. Stand on the fact that we are God's children. Now, I know I'm going to get the enemy trying to come against me, but I'm a child of God. That's the promise of God tells me. I am His. I don't have to worry about what anybody else says. Man, I've lived through some things. I've had the enemy come against me on some things. But I am a child of God. Way more important than a lot of anything else. But one of the things that we see here that Mordecai tells Esther when she says, "Hey, I can't just go into the king. He could kill me if I go in there and he's not ready to see me." But Mordecai says, "Okay." If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place, but you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Again, Mordecai understood the providence of God and understood that God would protect his people and that God is the God of all creation and is all powerful. Mordecai understood that, and he implored Esther to take the time. But Esther also understood that. She also understood the power of prayer and the power of fasting for God, the power of which fasting is a sacrifice. We're sacrificing something for God. So when we come to God with fasting and prayer, that's a sacrifice. So He honors sacrifice. God honors sacrifice. So that's what Esther calls for to do, to fast. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and my maids and I will do the same thing. Then, though it is law, I will go in to see the king, and if I must die, I must die. So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him. Again, seeking the favor of God, seeking the favor, knowing that God is God and he will do what he will do. Well, the only way we can seek favor is to sacrifice. But we have to do it with a humble heart too. We have to know that God is the God of all creation. And he put us in a place. He put us in this place. He allows us to be where we're going to be. And Esther believes that. Mordecai believes that. Such a insightful little book that just shows all how happenstance leads to God's plan. And that we need to trust in it. But we need to do our part. And we need to seek him and seek his favor in his place. Pretty cool.